Why
I
is
think that that's different.
masculinity tied into your political stance, though?
I don't think that. I think that liberal versus a Democrat is two different things, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that being a Republican versus a conservative is two different things.
Yes.
I'll break it down like this. Being liberal.
Your car.
Let me move it over from the from the
I think being
conservative
liberal is
side.
like a temperament.
I think liberal versus
Biology.
conservative is the way that you live life and the way that you think that things should go culturally. Being conservative versus a Democrat is a type of policy that affect us every single day. But they both can intersect. So I'll give you an example. You can be liberal in your mindset of how you see things, more like, you know, people should be able to do whatever it is that they want to do, all of this
Still
other type of stuff.
conservative.
But then that'll directly coincide with policy that allows for gay marriage or policy that allows for men to compete in women's sports. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Your political affiliation will directly impact, or how you believe will directly impact who you vote for. Whereas there are people that say that I'm a liberal when it comes to lifestyle, but I'm conservative when it comes to my money. And that
Yeah.
means that I don't believe in social programs. I believe in less taxes, keeping more money inside of my pocket. But at the same time, I think that people should be able to have sex with whoever it is they want to have a sex with. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't think a masculine man can think that you should be able to have sex with whoever you want to?
I don't think that it's just about sex. I think that that's just a small part of what being liberal is.
See, but to me, that kind of clashes because it's like if you say you're against certain social programs and stuff like that, and you have a more conservative outlook on that, but you would be okay with something like gay relationships or something, I feel like that would clash in a sense because a lot of the time, gay sex is very high risk. So you
Mhm.
would need extra health care. I feel like you would need extra social services just to fund those type of situations. So
Well, the thing about
I just feel like it.
Republicans, Republicans are not against people being able to be in a relationship with a person that may be gay, right? Because there are gay conservatives, believe it or not.
There's a bunch of them.
But here's the key: they don't believe that you should push that ideology on other people via. They don't believe that men should still be able to compete in women's sports. They don't believe that men should be able to use women's bathrooms. They still acknowledge the difference between a man and a woman. You know what I'm saying? Or they may say, "Yo, you can go and live your life and do whatever it is that you want in your bedroom, but it doesn't mean that we should put this inside of our schools."
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
way that they live their personal life is not against the views and the conservative values, less taxes. Men and women are two different. They identify, you know what I'm saying? A liberal view will tell you, well, there is no, a woman could be whatever it is that they identify as,
Mm-hmm.
right? But a person that is a Republican that may be gay will say, no, a man is a man and a woman is a woman. You can't just change it to being whatever it is that you want it to be. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
intersects, but
I
but it could
understand it,
it could
but
directly it could directly influence and impact the way that you vote.
I just feel like, I mean, I understand, I get it, but I think like just long-term thinking like that, it still really doesn't make sense how some people could still kind of be on both sides because you don't mind, if you don't mind same-sex relationships, then you shouldn't mind all the things that would come along with not minding that. You know what I'm saying? And then I feel like that would
No, Molly.
bleed into the economy somehow and affect it because you would
If you
need
like
different type of
men,
social programs.
if you like men as a man, right? You could also say, but no, I don't think that men should be playing in women's sports. You see what I'm
Yes, I
saying?
agree.
Right.
You could still you may not necessarily, but you know what I'm saying? You may want to do what you want to do, but you don't think that your view should impede on the natural order of things because you still understand that women are the weaker vessel physically.
But I still
Yeah.
feel like they would still push for certain policies towards these certain groups of people
No, you
Well,
that
got
would
that's where the
eventually.
that's where the disconnect is, right? Because the reason why you'll see a gay Republican is because they think that Democrats have gone too far left and they don't identify with a lot of the shit that they're trying to do that then impedes on other people's civil rights. Because
Yeah,
they like, listen,
that's why
just
I like
because I may want to live my life a certain way doesn't mean that we have to push this on everybody else.
correct. And I think his name is Flame Monroe, a transgender, always talks about that.
I don't know.
And they always talk about not, having women, having men and women's sports, and they think that's crazy. So
But
there's a
that's
lot of
confusing because you're a tranny, and I understand that you are against it, and I understand why. But at the same time, you're kind of the representation of it. So just I don't know. That's just how
no,
my
because
I
brain
mean, but
you
is.
that's
can
what
I
say
just feel like
people
it's
call
serving
black.
too many masters.
Hey,
I
one
still
more.
get confused. I understand that they are against it, but are
because you can
against
have
it, but you
common
still
sense.
represent that.
You
So
can still
who
have
are you
common
as a
sense
trans person to tell another trans person they don't right to have to they don't have the right to do something, but you know what I'm saying? Y'all are both technically
Let me
identifying
tell
as
you
a
why.
woman. So who are you to say this other tranny cannot do
because
what
they're
women do?
infringing on somebody else's rights. Because
Oh,
you
that
can't
whole
say,
I just
you can't say you wanna do something, or you wanna be treated a certain way, and then by proxy you go and treat the other group and marginalize the other group. Like that doesn't
Because,
that
like,
don't make
okay, so you, like, like, a lot of people, let's say, for example, you live this alternative lifestyle. And usually that alternative lifestyle was something that you did in your time. But when you went to work, you were still a normal person. Like, you were able to separate your own personal life or what it is that you do or you believe from what you are interacting with and what you're dealing with at work. Like, you went to work, you took care of your business. People didn't know whatever it is that you did. But now what we see today is that they were trying, via the diversity, equity, and inclusion, they were trying to, like, if you go into corporate environments, they'll make you take sensitivity training or, all of this other bullshit. And it's because they were integrating it into the way that we then make money or we do business, when that should have had no place in it. What you did after you got off of work is your business, but that should not have impeded on whether or not we should have these hiring practices, or whether or not, I got to acknowledge you and call you she, her, them, and acknowledge your pronouns. That's the difference.
Yeah, RuPaul actually talked about that because every time he was on an interview, he was dressed as a man. And so somebody asked him, "Well, are why aren't you dressed like RuPaul?" He said, "I only do that when I'm getting paid." He was like, "Otherwise, I dress like this."
that's
Basically,
funny because I was thinking
RuPaul is a
about
character.
Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking about him earlier and how they kind of like were just pushing this whole gay agenda very early on. And remember being younger and like finding out it was a man. And I'm like, why are they letting this man play around in women's clothes? And now look where we are today. Like they really think that they're women
You would
now.
have to I never like growing up, I
And
never seen it like out like it is. It was like in
well, because
movies
in
or
the black
I
something like
mean,
that.
we
community,
talked
it
about
was a
it.
thing when he was popping and he still is. You know what I'm saying? Like so, but it was just weird. And now it's like this.
It's acceptable. It's like we used to say cross dressers. Like, what happened to cross
But
dressers?
that's
Who are
what it
they
is.
now?
But that's what it is. It's a
But who
cross
are
dress.
they now? Are they drag queens? Is this what a cross dresser is at this
They
point?
messing up society.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I think that the fight for what we think is right and wrong is completely different from whether or not policy is determining whether or not you should or shouldn't hire somebody, right? Or whether or not they play in women's sports. Like, I could look at you and say, I could look at anybody, right? I could look at somebody and say, hey, the same way that I say you sleeping with a man or a woman, which I may think that it's a much deeper issue there. But I could also look over there and say, hey man, I know you're conservative, but you shouldn't be sleeping around.
Right.
The
But I don't
morality,
think
the
that
morality,
messes around with policy though. Like I don't see that. I don't think that person will bleed into like
correct.
policies that would affect, you
Well, that's
know.
the whole idea of it, is that in the same way that you doing whatever it is that you doing in your own spare time, whether you gay or whether you sleeping around with a whole bunch of chicks, it shouldn't affect policy. But that's when it
Right.
starts to bleed over into the conservative or Democrat versus Republican thing, is because now it's kind of starting to be overly corrective and interconnected to where if you do live this lifestyle, the expectation is for you to then support the Democrats, because they've tied it in the same way that they say, well, if you black, what are you doing voting Republican, right? But just because I'm black or I understand a culture doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with your policy. So that's where we got to separate it, because you may live a liberal lifestyle, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you want open borders for everybody to just come in and fuck up what it is that we got going on in the city. Don't mean that you believe that criminals should get a slap on the wrist. It don't mean that you know what I'm saying, you believe in climate change or some shit like that. But everything is now grouped to where your sexual orientation, the color of your skin, the gender that you are, that is directly tied to, or they're directly tying it to what you believe from a policy perspective.
Exactly. It's
I
getting
remember when I was
exhausting.
growing up, you used to have to like, well, when I was growing up, like a lot of people would hide the fact that
Mhm.
they were lesbian or gay because they didn't want that to be tied to what they were doing, because this was something they,
Yeah.
they did in their home. But
Well,
it's
that because it wasn't socially acceptable. So, you were going to be blackballed or whatever it is just for being different in that way.
well, not even just that. A lot of people just didn't want people to put that first. The fact that they were gay. It's like, okay, I'm gay. I'm still here doing my job, or I'm still here doing this. I'm still here doing that. Now that is the first thing somebody tells me. I am
Right.
queer. I don't care.
It's the
Are
first
you
thing that
fixing my
people say,
Slurpee or
and they
what?
also still say, well, I don't want to be looked at as gay first when you walked in and that's the way you introduce yourself. So I've always been confused about that. Like, why tell anybody?
Right. They'll have on rainbows. Some crazy. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because now that's and it's in the classroom, especially here in Maryland. They're fighting about it now here.
Yeah, I've
What do
been
you mean
hearing
it's
It's
in the
like
stuff
class?
about,
the books are crazy.
yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah, I
textbook?
heard something about them being able to opt out of LGBT story time. Like,
They don't want them to.
yeah, that's crazy. Like, why do people have to fight for you not to expose your child to some
Uh,
craziness?
yeah,
I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
It's too many weird politicians. I can't get into politics, but I wish I had that mindset because I feel like there needs to be some balance. It's just not enough balance.
I don't think that there will ever be balance.
I don't think so
Not
either,
at this
especially
point. We're
with
just going
black
so
women.
far out of control, and we're just like everybody can just do whatever they want to do, and it's fine. Like that's how we end up here with no guidelines, no structure. Everybody's just kind of going about life willy nilly, and this is what happens.
I mean,
I
it's
agree.
intentional though. They're trying to if you're trying to collapse a society, of course you would do it from within. And it's been
Absolutely.
working because it's been at least 3 decades. So
I agree.
Absolutely.
our parents and grandparents ain't do nothing about it.
There's a real attack on masculinity for a reason. If you take down the
You
man, you
can't be
take down the head.
threatened. Mm-hmm. Yep.
All the non-masculine men, I'm sorry. Because even the gay ones on the conservative side are still more masculine.
I don't know how you can. I
Ain't
don't know.
nothing against
That's the part that I'm
masculinity
trying to
being
figure
gay,
out.
nigga. What?
I don't know.
I,
I don't know how
I'm
you
telling
can
you,
masculine gay men. That's
you're not telling me that Tim Walls is masculine.
No, he's gay. He
I think
like
so
bends
too.
over and then inserted.
Tim
What are you
Walls is not.
saying?
Tim Walls is married.
What,
A
yo.
what
lot
are
of
you
gay
Your
men
asking?
are
microphone
married.
is
So
far
how are we
away from you,
describing
Diddy.
Oh,
masculinity?
my bad.
Tim Walls is married, but he's so flamboyant. It's like I don't understand how.
I
It's
don't
scary
know
because
how
the
y'all.
masculine.
that,
It's just scary because the women are becoming the masculine ones. That's the
Yeah,
scary part. Like
his
they are
wife has them.
literally reversing the roles. And it's like, what about us who don't want to participate in that, you know?
How do y'all identify
And
a
gay.
man that like men to be masculine?
What?
I
that
How do
don't
nigga
we
got a
think you
deep
can
voice,
be.
but
identify?
that nigga got a deep voice, but he like dick.
Yeah.
If you like what I like, I
I
can't
told
see
you.
you as
I told
masculine,
you.
but
That nigga don't talk with a pss, pss, pss in his voice.
How do y'all? How?
That shit is
If
How?
he
weird to me.
doesn't, if he doesn't act flamboyant, it's masculine to me. I understand what men think because you're a man. I get it, but
But that's not a masculine thing.
it's
Like
not.
that's
Mm-mm.
the most feminine thing that you can do, in my
Well, it
So
opinion.
depends
that
on, I
nigga
guess,
be
if you're
like,
the top or the bottom.
No,
either
either
or.
one.
Ugh, like two ball sacks.
Yuck! What?
oh. She said two ball sacks. What are you talking about, Molly?
That's crazy.
What
How do they do
happened
it? I
here?
don't know how they do it. I don't get it. Oh,
I don't know how y'all. I don't know how y'all identify that. I don't know how y'all.
She said two ball sacks.
Quentin, you really don't have to keep repeating it.
and men
Like,
like it. Like, oh.
No, they don't.
We're
No, they don't.
That shit's fucking weird.
gonna be reduced down as women to having to choose between a gay man or a bisexual man.
Nope, that's not
no,
true.
No,
because there's
you're
always going
not,
to be
Molly.
masculine men.
No,
There just
that's
won't
like
be
a
a
like a
lot of them.
1% of the population is fucking gay. It's like
But you
very
got to think
small.
they're breeding these younger
And
boys.
they are
So by the
breeding.
time if I have children or my grandchildren, what are they gonna choose from? I don't want my daughters to
I,
have to
no,
settle with a
raise them
man
right.
who they're sharing with another man. Like
I
this
punch my
needs to
kid in the
start being
chest if he
Well,
say
the
addressed,
he gay.
kids are
y'all.
now pansexual.
What? What is
Huh?
that?
What?
And kids are
You
doing what?
pan, you pan. When you pan, you do this. You go to
Oh,
everybody.
pansexual.
Mm-hmm.
What is a
Yes, yes,
section?
yes.
A
Or
pansexual.
demisexual. What is that?
Yeah, they sleep with anybody, literally
But these are
anybody.
little
That's
kids.
that's
I saw
basically.
something about
Well, you
that.
basically you bisexual when you gay.
They
Yeah, but
sleep
it's
with
a
trans.
different
They will sleep
name.
with trans. They will sleep with,
Oh,
It's
and
That's
these
basically
are,
like saying you like people for being for people, regardless of
yeah.
so
anything else
basically you.
going
So
on.
you gay.
So, because
yeah.
come on, I'm in the gay capital here. I'm in DC,
This is
You
and
like
in
I
there's a
don't
lot of
I
Orgy.
women
don't
here
know
that like
any
that are
gay little
pansexual. They
boys.
like everybody.
I don't know gay feminine kids like all my friends' kids are like boys. They play in the dirt and they throw basketballs at people's heads and shit.
Oh, I've seen
Like I'm just
some.
saying like they're not gay. Like I don't know what you're
I've
saying. We're
seen
raising
some.
gay little boys. Like
Well, you have to go around schools and stuff. It's very
nigga, what do
these
you
boys
mean?
are
I go
getting
around schools all the
feminized.
time. Like
Well,
I'm
you're in Oklahoma. Y'all are red. So I can't really I don't live in Oklahoma. Here it is a little bit more liberal.
She's saying
Here
they
you
you
do
hide
have
your
two
gains.
moms raising their sons here. So
Hmm.
yeah.
What happened, Molly?
I was just saying
You
Michigan
said you
is a
have
bit
two
liberal.
moms raising kids.
Hmm.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know how that's not gay.
what's
If
not gay?
you if you
Being
let if you
pansexual.
let anything fuck you,
Dear Lord. Can we next?
You will have sex
Some
with an
do.
And next
animal,
on
a
the Stephen A.
child.
Smith
Like you have
show.
to have some boundaries.
Well, I
What do
don't
you
know if it
mean?
gets into that, but I
They were
do
saying
This
the
know.
nigga
hippie
said
movement was a
nobody
whole
in Oklahoma is
CIA
gay.
psyop. With all the free love and the hippy dippy stuff, they said that was made up by the
that's why we
CIA.
got a population decline because everybody want to sleep with each other instead of sleeping
Yeah,
with
it's
Trump
the.
too
about to
much.
Trump about to give y'all $5,000 to have some kids.
So you can just go into debt. That $5,000 isn't gonna pay your hospital
I
bill.
mean,
Mm.
It's supposed to be a bonus, and
How
whatever.
now
about you?
Some
It's like if you want a
it's a
bonus, give a
government push
real bonus.
gift.
Like have the childbirth be free in the hospital or
y'all see
something
how I
like
just
that.
changed it up.